Hello friends, it's RetroGamingNow back with another Fate Friday video. And for any of you who've ever played Fate, you know that there are such things as magical items, and there's various ways to get magical items. You can gamble for them, you can even straight up buy them. They're pretty expensive. But there is one other way, which is kind of a unique thing to Fate, and it's by using gemstones. So you can see there's certain items that are socketed. You can buy a gemstone, and this will add 10% attack speed bonus. And I can put that gemstone into that ring, and there we go. We've got a ring that's got that bonus. However, there are rare and unique gemstones. In fact, there are 21 and a half of these gemstones, and you can see they're all right here. And each of them have various strengths and weaknesses, and I've narrowed it down to the top 10 rare gemstones. So without further ado, I present to you my list of the top 10 best artifact gemstones in Fate. Number 10 on our list is the Covetous Heart. Now what the Covetous Heart does is it adds a 12% chance of finding magical items and 5% reduced item requirements. So this is a rare gemstone which is pretty, I would say it's actually kind of mediocre. I think chance of finding magical items can be helpful because you can make more money, but I think sometimes reduced item requirements can be dangerous because you get used to it and then you forget, oh no, I take this item off, and then the item requirements go up. Nonetheless, it's a gemstone that still has some uses, and it's a good one to put on a ring or something like that that you're not planning on ever taking off. And that's number 10 on our list. Number 9 on the list is the Fist of Samson. And what the Fist of Samson does is it adds 7% damage dealt bonus, 10 strength bonus, but at the penalty of 10 magic, negative 10 magic. So Fist of Samson obviously is something you're going to be wanting to use if you are not a magician. 10 strength bonus, especially at the beginning of the game, is very helpful, and 7% damage bonus isn't too shabby either. However, the reason this only ranks number 9 is because magic is really, really useful in Fate. And so Fist of Samson is really only going to be useful if you're completely sure that you're not planning on using magic. And that's why it's number 9 on our list. Next up on the list is Salt of the Earth. Salt of the Earth is a rare gemstone that adds 30% electric resistance and a 5% vitality bonus. So this is a pretty good defensive gem, as you can see. The electric resistance can be helpful. I think elemental resistances sometimes have limited use, but when it's 30%, that's actually pretty decent. So if you ever find yourself up against a tough electric boss, it'll be helpful. And of course, 5 vitality bonus is always going to be useful. And it's just going to help you survive longer in the dungeon. So I think this would be a good gem for someone who's defensively oriented, needs something to put on armor. And that's why Salt of the Earth is on the list. Number 7 on the list is Gem of Ages, as I kill this goblin. And Gem of Ages adds 30% fire resistance and 30% ice resistance. So Gem of Ages is a little bit better than the previous one because it adds both fire and ice. And those are types that you're going to see more often than electric, it seems like. So this is a pretty good all-around gem. I think having both of these in a single gem is pretty useful. And I think it's a gemstone that is a little bit better than the previous one, and that I would definitely put on any armor if I ever find this gemstone. Number 6 on the list is the Star Sapphire of Ages, and what this does is it's 9 mana recovery and 5 defensive magic skill. So this is one that's definitely going to be useful for someone who plans on using a quick combination of magic and melee. So the 9 mana recovery happens whenever I make an attack. So if I were to hit something, then I get 9 mana recovery. And it adds defensive magic. So for example, someone who's planning on using haste a lot or something like that, this is a gem that it would be pretty useful for. And doesn't come at any expenses. So Star Sapphire of Ages is number 6 on our list. On the flip side, we have number 5, which is the Beastheart. And this adds 12% attack bonus, 2 HP recovery, and 5 critical strike skill. So whereas the previous gem is good for someone who's mostly magic focused, Beastheart is really effective for somebody who likes to get up close and actually fight. The attack bonus makes it so we're a little bit more likely to hit them. 2 HP recovery is pretty self-explanatory. And the big one really is the 5 critical strike skill. So adding a quick 5 critical strikes increases your chance. It could be as much as 10% depending on how much you have. So Beastheart is very useful, and that's why It's on the list, number 5. Number 4 is a gem that actually has no use in combat, the Avaricious Perle. And the Avaricious Perle adds 20% more gold dropped by enemies and 40% chance of finding magical items. And I think what this does is pretty self-explanatory. What it ends up doing is it allows you to make more money from your fights. So it's not going to help you win any fights, but as we've seen in some of my playthroughs, chance of finding magical items can help you make a lot of money really quickly. And that's why it's number 4 on our list. Number 3 on the list is the Daystar. Now this is a gem that actually takes a little bit of thought in how you're going to use it. It adds 48 fire resistance to armor, or 12 damage to undead to a weapon. There's -3 mana drained, but there's 3 knockback when installed. Now, -3 mana drain might feel like a lot, but it's actually not too much if you have a decent amount of magic. At the beginning of the game, yes, -3 is a lot. But as the game goes on, it's really not too much. It's not a percentage or anything like that. Now, 12 damage to undead is pretty useful. However, I would choose to get 48 flat fire resistance. To me, that's going to be more useful than most of your percentage resistances that we've seen so far. 48 fire resistance means we're going to take flat 48 damage less from any fire. And that's probably what I would choose to use it on. And knockback is sort of self-explanatory. So this is something that I would put on armor later in the game. I would not use this gem earlier in the game. And that's number 3 on the list. Number 2 on the list is Dwarfs Delight. Now you can see what this does. 25% more gold drop by enemies and 6 hammer skill bonus. So, obviously this is something you're going to want to use if you have a hammer. And 6 hammer skill is actually more. Most of the gems give 5 or 4 bonus skill points, but this one actually gives 6. And in addition, 25% more gold drop by enemies. So it's a very utility gem. If you're using a hammer, it's really useful. It's somewhat useful if you're not using a hammer. But the fact that usually you're going to find 2 of these is going to be really nice. And if you can get a quick 12 hammer skill bonus, that can really give you a jump start, especially early in the game. So Dwarfs Delight is at number 2, and this is one that I think is pretty useful. And I'm going to put it on this pole arm, even though it's not going to help me. Number 2. And finally, number 1, what I believe to be the best gemstone in Fate is Hadrians Crystal. Now what does Hadrians Crystal do? It adds 20 attack bonus, 5 polearm skill, and 5 damage taken reduced. So, okay, it's not tremendously better than anything else, but I do think it's the one that's going to give you the best overall. So that 20 attack bonus is going to make it a lot more likely that we're going to hit enemies. 5 polearm skill is useful if we're going to use polearms. And 5 damage taken reduced, that speaks for itself, especially early game. This is an incredibly useful gemstone. Unfortunately, it does start to go away a little bit as the game moves on, but I think for your first 10 or 15 levels, this one would really help you a lot as you're playing through the game. And that is the number 1 on this list is Hadrian's Crystal. Alright everyone, thanks for watching my video of my top 10 favorite rare gemstones. This is part of Fate Fridays, a new series that I'm doing where I do interesting top 10s and stuff like that about Fate every Friday. So be sure to check in and subscribe, and if you want to watch any of my other videos down below, feel free. Once again everyone, thank you for watching, and have a great day.